everybody, it's Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. I just got done training and I'm drinking a bit more coffee with Bagpuss. And it's time to do some debunking. But hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot first. Look at that. Look at that. It's all hard and veiny like a cock. Respect it. Alright, and that topic is this debate going on right now in the community. I've seen it on YouTube, I've seen it on forums. It seems to be going on with people arguing whether fat loss, fat gain, and body composition are a result of calories and macros, or if they're a result of hormones. And this seems to be a debate that has started because a lot of the people involved don't actually really understand human physiology at even the most basic level, down at the university freshman level. So I want to discuss that a bit. Now, Bagpuss has his own stance on it, and let me find out from him what it is. Bagpuss says he doesn't even know what the fuck a calorie or a macro is, that bodybuilding is all about the hormones. Bagpuss, bro, I think you're confusing two different issues. We're talking about the nutrition side, the food, and the body's natural. Okay. Bagpuss's stance is that it's the hormones. My stance is that it is calories and macros, and I want to break down for you why. Now, yes, hormonal responses and the wide plethora of hormones and things that are released from consuming foods absolutely affect nutrient partitioning, what your body is burning for fuel and fuel substrates and all of these things. But most of the people talking about this don't have an understanding of this, and you really have to know a lot about the human body to even really get a grasp on these things. So I'm going to keep this at the most basic terms that people are going to understand so we can dispel some of this myths. Now, when people mention things like insulin spiking and sugars and all of this spiking your insulin levels and making you either stop burning fat or storing carbs as fat because you ate different types of carbs, let's cut through this bullshit right now. Yes, high circulating levels of insulin and high circulating levels of blood glucose absolutely slow down and in some cases even stop the body from burning fat and fatty acids as a fuel source. 100% true. However, the source of your carbs and the type of your carbs doesn't necessarily affect your total insulin response. There's a lot of factors involved, which I discussed the other day regarding how big this response is, how long it lasts, and how it varies based upon a dozen different variables, even for the same food and the same amount. A lot of factors involving what else you've eaten, your lifestyle, what you've done that day. But the fact of the matter is, for a given person with a given level of insulin sensitivity, X units of glucose is generally going to need X units of insulin to deal with it and store it or do whatever it needs to do with it. And under normal circumstances, athletic and active individuals, that insulin does not store those carbs as fat. It shuttles them into muscle cells. It makes you start burning carbs for fuel, and then you start storing your body fat, which doesn't need insulin to store. So that's what happens. But you're not producing more total insulin or slowing down more total fat burn based upon the type of carbs or how big of an insulin response you get initially, because even a slower, more gradual curve, which you're going to get anyways if you're not fasted and you're eating other food with these sugars or high glycemic index carbs, you're still going to get the same total amount of carbs now being burned for fuel and being sent into muscle tissue and liver tissue and other things over different periods of time. You're still going to get the same net amount for the day. So it's not going to make it any better or worse based upon the type of carbs you eat, so therefore the hormones is really misunderstood there. Now, no amount of insulin without carbs is going to stop you from burning fat, because what happens is that if you somehow produce way more insulin than you need, or you inject more insulin than you need, and you don't have glucose coming in for it to store, people will argue that, well, the insulin will still stop you from burning fat. No, it won't. It'll kill you. That's what it'll do. And if you're dead, you're going to lose a lot of fat. So it doesn't even stop you in that case. It's an unrealistic scenario. You're dealing with a person who's either injecting insulin or someone who is very physically sick, who is overproducing insulin, in which case gaining a little body fat is the least of their concerns at that point. This is not a healthy individual. So that's a completely moot argument for our purposes. Now, by that same token, what you will also see is that the only thing that doesn't produce insulin responses at all in the body generally is going to be dietary fat. But dietary fat doesn't need insulin to store, so what ends up happening when you eat more fat, there's different hormonal responses and transporters and things that happen in the body. Yeah, insulin levels will go down a little bit, so you're burning more fat for fuel, but you're also eating more fat. And fat will also store, any surplus fat is going to be stored as body fat. Any fat that you eat that you do not burn, whether you're on a high carb diet, low carb diet, high insulin levels, low insulin levels, that doesn't get burned is going to be generally stored as body fat. So this is where these hormones and things create confusion, because the hormonal responses are not the cause of the gains of body fats. They're intermediate processes along the way that your body releases to respond to and determine how it wants to burn, utilize, or store the food you're eating, but it still comes down to the net calories in, calories out, and basic nutrient partitioning. So it is ultimately the calories and the macronutrients that are going to determine whether your body stores that fat or not. So what people really do need to focus on is the stuff that is the direct cause, what we can measure, what's going to be easy for people to understand, and what's going to affect the results. And that is ultimately going to be the calories and the macros. Alright, you guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you next time.